Jeremiah chapter 1. These are the words of Jeremiah, son of Hilkiah, one of the priests at Anathoth in the territory of Benjamin. The word of Yahweh came to him in the 13th year of the reign of Josiah, son of Ammon, king of Judah. It came again during the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, until the 11th year of Zedekiah, son of Josiah, king of Judah. In the 5th month of that year, the inhabitants of Jerusalem were taken into exile. A word of Yahweh came to me. Even before I formed you in the womb, I have known you. Even before you were born, I had set you apart and appointed you a prophet to the nations. I said, Ah, Lord Yahweh, I do not know how to speak. I am still young. But Yahweh replied, Do not say, I am still young. For now you will go whatever be the mission I am entrusting to you, and you will speak of whatever I command you to say. Do not be afraid of them, for I will be with you to protect you. It is Yahweh who speaks. Then Yahweh stretched out his hand and touched my mouth and said to me, Now I have put my words in your mouth. See, today I give you authority over nations and over kingdoms, to uproot and to pull down, to destroy and to overthrow, to build and to plant. A word of Yahweh came to me again. Jeremiah, what do you see? I said, I see the branch of a watching tree. And Yahweh said to me, You are right. I too am watching to fulfill my word. The word of Yahweh came to me a second time. What do you see? I replied, I see a boiling cauldron coming from the north, and it is tilted towards this direction. Then Yahweh said to me, From the north, disaster will boil down on all the people of this land. I am calling all the kingdoms of the north. It is Yahweh who speaks. Each of them will come and encamp at the entrance of the gates of Jerusalem, against all its surrounding walls and against all the cities of Judah. I will pass judgment on my people because of the evil they do in forsaking me. They have burned incense to foreign gods and worshipped gods their hands have made. But you, get ready for action. Stand up and say to them all that I command you. Be not scared of them, or I will scare you in their presence. See, I will make you a fortified city, a pillar of iron with walls of bronze, against all the nations, against the kings and princes of Judah, against the priests and the people of the land. They will fight against you, but shall not overcome you, for I am with you to rescue you. It is Yahweh who speaks. Jeremiah chapter 2. A word of Yahweh came to me. Go and shout this in the hearing of Jerusalem. This is Yahweh's word. I remember your kindness as a youth, the love of your bridal days, when you followed me in the wilderness, through a land not sown. Israel was holy to Yahweh, the first fruits of his harvest. All who ate of it had to pay, and misfortune fell on them. It is Yahweh who speaks. Hear the word of Yahweh, people of Jacob, all you families of the nations of Israel. What wrong did your fathers find in me, that they strayed far from me? Why did they pursue what is worthless and become worthless themselves? And they did not say, "Where is Yahweh who brought us out of Egypt and led us in the wilderness through a land of deserts and pits, a land of drought and darkness, a land still untrodden and without inhabitants? I brought you to a fertile land to eat of the choicest fruit. As soon as you came, you defiled my land and dishonored my heritage." The priest did not ask, "Where is Yahweh?" The masters of my teaching did not know me. The pastors of my people betrayed me. The prophets followed worthless idols and spoke in the name of Baal. Therefore I contend with you. It is Yahweh who speaks, and I will contend with your children's children. Cross to the coasts of Cyprus and see, or send to Kedar and observe with care. If there has ever been such a thing, has a nation exchanged its gods, false though they be? But my people have exchanged their glory for what is worthless. Be aghast at that, O heavens! Shudder, be utterly appalled. It is Yahweh who speaks. For my people have done two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living water, to dig for themselves leaking cisterns that hold no water. Did I make Israel a slave? Or was he born in bondage? How then did you become the spoil of others? The lions have roared against you. Loudly indeed have they roared, making your country a wasteland, your cities a ruins without inhabitants. Even the Egyptians of Memphis and Tapanhes have humbled you. Didn't you bring this on yourself by forsaking Yahweh your God, even as he led you in the way? Now why call to Egypt? Will the water of the Nile heal you? And why go to Assyria? What good will the water of the river do you? Your own wickedness chastises you, and your own unfaithfulness punishes you. Know and see that it is bitter and evil to forsake Yahweh your God, and no longer to fear me. It is Yahweh, the God of hosts, who speaks. It was long ago that you broke your yoke and burst your bonds, saying, "I will not serve." On every high hill and under every green tree you played the harlot. I planted you a choice vine, a shoot of wholesome stock. Why have you become degenerate, a wild vine? Even if you wash with soda and use soap in abundance, the stain of your sin is always before me. It is the Lord Yahweh who speaks. How do you dare say, "I am not defiled, I have not gone after the Baals"? See your footprints in the valley. Admit what you have done. O restive young she-camel running here and there, wild ass of the desert, sniffing the wind in her desire, who can restrain her lust? Those who pursue her need not tire themselves. At mating time they will find her. Run if you wish until your feet are sore and your throat is dry. But you say it is no use. I love foreign gods, it is them I follow. As a thief is shamed when caught, so is the house of Israel. They, their kings, their princes, their priests and their prophets. To a tree they say, "You are my father," and to a stone, "You gave me birth." For they have turned their back on me instead of their face. In the day of misfortune they will call me, "Rise and save us." Where then are the gods of your own making? Let them rise and save you, if they can, in the time of your distress. For your gods, O Judah, are as many as your cities. Why argue with me? You have all betrayed me. It is Yahweh who speaks. In vain did I strike your children. They did not learn a lesson. And your sword, like a destroying lion, devoured your prophets. All you of this generation, hear what Yahweh says. Have I been a desert for Israel, a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we will depart from you and no more return to you? Does a virgin forget her ornaments, or a bride her sash? But my people have forgotten me for days without number. How well you direct your steps in your search for lovers, even to walking along with crime. Look at your garments stained with the blood of the innocent poor, although you did not catch them breaking in. I know you say, I am innocent. Why does his anger not turn away from me? I will accuse you. Yes, you have sinned. How lightly do you change your way? You will be put to shame by Egypt as you were by Assyria. You will also leave that place with your hands on your head, for Yahweh has rejected those you trust, and they will not help you. Jeremiah chapter 3. If a man divorces his wife, and she leaves him and marries another man, should he come back to her? Wouldn't the land be totally polluted? But you are a harlot with many lovers, and you still have the nerve to return to me. It is Yahweh who speaks. Lift your eyes to the hills and see. Where have you not been violated? By the wayside you sat waiting for your lovers like an Arab in the wilderness, and you have dishonored the land with your evil and your harlotry. The showers held back, and there was no spring rain for you. Yet you have a harlot's brow and refuse to be ashamed. Worse still, you call to me, Father, guide of my youth. Will you always be angry? Will your wrath last forever? That is what you said, and did evil as much as you were able to. During the reign of King Josiah, Yahweh said to me, have you seen what faithless Israel has done? She has gone on every high hill and under every green tree, and there played the harlot. So I thought, after all this, she will return to me, but she did not. Her perverse sister Judah saw that for all the adulteries of that unfaithful Israel, I sent her away with a certificate of divorce. Yet I saw that the disloyal Judah had no fear, and that she too went and played the harlot. Because of her harlotry, she dishonored the land, sinning with stones and trees. And even after that, her sister, the unfaithful Judah, did not come to me wholeheartedly. It was only pretense. It is Yahweh who speaks. And Yahweh continued, rebellious Israel has been less guilty than false Judah. Go and shout this message to the north. Come back, unfaithful Israel. It is Yahweh who speaks. I will not let my anger fall on you, for I am merciful. I will not be angry forever. Simply confess your guilt. You have rebelled against Yahweh your God, and have scattered your favors among strangers under every green tree, and you have not obeyed my voice. It is the word of Yahweh. Come back, faithless people. It is Yahweh who speaks. For I am your master. I will select one from your city and two from your family, and bring you to Zion. Then I will give you shepherds after my own heart, who will feed you with knowledge and prudence. And when you have increased and multiplied in the land in those days, It is Yahweh who speaks. People will no longer speak of the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. It will not be remembered or missed, nor shall it be made again. Then they will call Jerusalem the throne of Yahweh, and all the nations will gather there to honor the name of Yahweh, and no longer will they follow the stubbornness of their wicked hearts. In those days, the people of Judah will unite with the people of Israel, and together they will return from the north to the land that I gave to their ancestors as a heritage. And I thought, how gladly would I have placed you among my children and given you as your inheritance a beautiful land, the most splendid among all the nations. And I thought you would call me my father and not turn from following me. But like a woman unfaithful to her husband, you have been unfaithful to me, O people of Israel. It is Yahweh who speaks. A cry is heard in the barren heights, the weeping and pleading of the children of Israel, because they have perverted their way and have forgotten Yahweh their God. Come back, unfaithful people, I will heal you of your rebelliousness. Yes, we come to you, for you are Yahweh our God. Truly, the temples on the heights and the feasts on the hills are useless. Only Yahweh our God can save Israel. The infamous God has devoured all the fruits of our ancestors' labor since our youth, their flocks and their herds, their sons and their daughters. Let us lie down in our shame and let our confusion cover us, for it is against Yahweh our God that we have sinned from our youth until this day, we and our fathers, and we have not obeyed the voice of Yahweh our God. Jeremiah chapter 4. If you return to me, O Israel, it is Yahweh who speaks. If you convert to me and remove your dirty idols from my sight, you will have no need to hide from me. If you truthfully, justly and honestly swear by Yahweh's life, then you will be a blessing for all nations, and you will be their glory. For thus says Yahweh to the people of Judah and Jerusalem, break up deeply your fallow land, and do not sow among the thorns. O men of Judah and Jerusalem, circumcise yourselves for Yahweh, and purify your hearts, lest my wrath spread like a fire that cannot be quenched because of your evil deeds. Announce this in Judah, proclaim it in Jerusalem, sound the trumpet through the land, shout aloud and say, assemble and go to the fortified cities, raise a banner towards Zion, run for your lives, do not tarry. For I will bring evil and great destruction from the north. The lion has come out of his den. The destroyer of nations has set out to devastate your country and make your cities ruins without inhabitants. Because of this, wrap yourselves in sackcloth, lament and groan, for the fury of Yahweh's anger has not turned away from us. On that day, it is Yahweh who speaks. The king and the leaders will be discouraged. The priests will be terrified, and the prophets will be astounded. People will say, Ah, Lord Yahweh, you have truly deceived this people and Jerusalem, saying, you will have peace even as sword is at our throat. When the time comes, it will be said to the people of Jerusalem, Wearing wind from the desert heights is coming to the daughter of my people, neither to winnow nor to cleanse. A strong wind comes from there. Now I will declare my judgments against them. See, someone comes like the clouds. His chariots are like a whirlwind. His horses swifter than eagles. Woe to us, for we are ruined. Cleanse your heart of every evil, Jerusalem, that you may be saved. How long will you harbor evil plans within you? A voice from Dan declares of a coming disaster from Mount Ephraim. Warn the nations, let everyone know in Jerusalem and Judah that enemies are coming from a distant land. They encircle Jerusalem like watchers guarding a field, because she has rebelled against me. It is Yahweh who speaks. Your own conduct and actions have brought this upon you. How bitter is your punishment, and how it deeply penetrates your heart, because you have rebelled against me. I am in anguish. I tremble in the depths of my being. My heart beats wildly. I cannot remain silent, for I hear the sound of the trumpet and the clamor of war. Disaster after disaster, all the land is laid waste. My tents are suddenly destroyed, and in an instant all that shelters me is wiped out. For how long must I see the banner raised and hear the sound of the trumpet? This happens because my people are foolish and do not know me. They are senseless and have no understanding, wise in doing evil but stupid in doing good. I looked at the earth and I found it formless and void. I looked at the sky, but darkness engulfed it. I looked at the mountains, and they are quaking, and all the hills were swaying to and fro. I looked and saw there was no one at all. Even the birds deserted the skies. I looked and saw that the fruitful land was a desert, and that all the cities were in ruins because of Yahweh and his fierce anger. Yahweh says, the whole land may be desolate, but I will not totally destroy it. Because of this, the earth shall mourn, and the skies be darkened. I have declared my purpose, and will not relent. I have made up my mind, and will not change it. At the sound of the horsemen and archers, every town takes flight. Some go to the thickets and climb among the rocks. All the towns are deserted and no one is left. And you, desolate one, what will you do? Even if you are garbed in scarlet and wear jewels of gold and put makeup on your eyes, in vain do you beautify yourself, for your lovers despise you and are ready to take your life. I hear a cry as of a woman in labor, anguish as of one giving birth the first time. It is the cry of the daughter of Zion, gasping for breath with hands outstretched. Woe is me, I am fainting amidst a band of murderers. Jeremiah chapter 5. Go through the streets of Jerusalem. Observe carefully and take note. Search the entire city squares and find, if you can, even one man who acts justly and seeks the truth, that I may forgive this city. Even though they swear, as surely as Yahweh lives, they do not mean what they say. O Yahweh, are you not looking for truth? You struck them, but they did not feel it. You crushed them, but they rejected correction. They set their faces harder than a rock and refused to repent. Then I thought, such are the poor, they act foolishly, because they do not know the way of Yahweh, the law of their God. So I will go to the well-to-do and speak to them, for they know the way of Yahweh and the law of their God. But they too have broken their yoke and burst their bonds. That is why the lion from the forest will slay them, and the wolf from the desert will destroy them, while the leopard lurks around their cities. Anyone who comes out is torn to pieces, for great is their sin, and many are their desertions. Why should I pardon you? Your children have rejected me and sworn by false gods. I gave them all they needed, and yet they committed adultery and trooped to the harlot's house. They are well fed, lusty stallions, each one neighing for his neighbor's wife. Shall I not call them to account? It is Yahweh who speaks. Shall I not take vengeance against a nation like this? Go up, nations, through her vineyards and ravage them, but do not entirely destroy my vine. Cut off her branches, for they are not Yahweh's. For the people of Israel and Judah have been utterly unfaithful to me. It is Yahweh who speaks. They have spoken falsely of Yahweh, saying, He does not exist. No harm will happen to us. We shall see neither the sword nor famine. As for the prophets, they are but wind. God doesn't speak to them. Because of this, Yahweh, the God of hosts, has spoken. This is what I am going to do to them. I will put words in your mouth. They will be like a fire, and this people will be the wood it devours. People of Israel, I will bring against you a nation from afar. It is Yahweh who speaks, whose language you do not understand. All of them are mighty warriors. They will devour your harvest and your food, devour your sons and daughters, devour your flocks and herds, devour your vines and your fig trees. They will devastate with the sword the fortified cities in which you trust. But even in those days, it is Yahweh who speaks. I will not utterly destroy them. And when they ask, Why has Yahweh our God done all this to us? You shall say to them, Just as you have forsaken me and served foreign gods in your land, so shall you serve strangers in a land that is not your own. Declare this to the people of Jacob and make it known in Judah. Listen, stupid and senseless people, who have eyes and do not see, who have ears and do not hear. Do you not fear me? It is Yahweh who speaks. Will you not tremble before me? I set the sand as a limit to the sea, an everlasting barrier it may never pass. Its waves toss but cannot prevail. They roar but are unable to go beyond it. But this people's heart is rebellious and stubborn. They have turned aside and gone away. They do not say in their hearts, Let us fear Yahweh our God, who sends in season the rain and has in store for us the harvest. Your crimes have turned order into chaos. Your sins have deprived you of these blessings. For among my people are scoundrels. They set traps like fowlers and catch human beings. Their houses are filled with loot, like a cage full of birds. It has turned them rich and powerful. They have become fat and sleek. Great is their wickedness. There is no justice in their judgment, for they do not protect the orphan's rights, nor defend the needy's cause. Should I not severely punish them for such things? It is Yahweh who speaks. Should I not exact vengeance against a people like them? A terrible and abominable thing has happened in the land. Prophets prophesy lies, and priests teach what pleases them, and my people like it to be so. But what will you do soon? Jeremiah chapter 6. People of Benjamin, seek safety beyond Jerusalem. Sound the trumpet in Tekoa. Raise a signal in Beth Hakerem. For misfortune pours out from the north. It will be a huge disaster. Shall I not compare you, daughter of Zion, to a beautiful pasture? Shepherds with their flocks are coming to her. They pitch their tents and feed their flocks all over her. Declare a holy war against her. Attack her at noontime. Woe to us, for the day declines, the evening shadows lengthen. Rise up, we shall attack by night and destroy her palaces. For Yahweh of hosts has spoken. Cut down trees and build a siege ramp against Jerusalem. The city must be punished, for all in her is oppression. Evil springs from her as water from a well. Violence and oppression are heard in the city. Suffering and cruelty are always before me. Take warning, Jerusalem, lest I turn away from you and make you a desolation, a no man's land. Yahweh of hosts further said, you shall glean thoroughly as a vine what is left of Israel. You shall do what the grape gatherer does when his hand goes over the branches again. To whom shall I speak? Whom shall I warn? No one of them wants to listen, that they may understand. Their ears are stuffed, and they pay no attention. They scorn what Yahweh says, and refuse to listen. The anger of Yahweh has filled me, and I can bear it no longer. Then pour it out on the children in the street, and on the gathering of young men. Both husband and wife will be caught, both the elderly and those who are not of age. Their houses will be passed to others, together with their fields and their wives, when I stretch out my hand and strike the people of the land. It is Yahweh who speaks. All of them, from the least to the greatest, are greedy for gain. Prophet and priest alike are deceitful. They treat lightly the disaster of my people, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. They should be ashamed of their abominable deeds, but they have no shame and don't even know how to blush. Surely they shall fall with those who will fall. When I ask them to account, they will stumble. It is Yahweh who speaks. This is what Yahweh says. Stand in the roads and look. Ask for the ancient paths and know where the good way is. Walk on it and experience peace for yourselves. But you said, we will not take it. Then Yahweh set watchmen over you. Pay attention to the sound of the horn. But you said, we will not listen. Listen, nations. Know what will befall them. Listen, earth. I am bringing disaster on this people. It is the fruit of their rebellion, because they ignored my words and despised my law. The incense from Sheba is useless for me. Don't bring me the fragrant cane from a distant land. Your burnt offerings are not acceptable to me, nor do I find your sacrifices pleasing. This is what Yahweh says. I will place stumbling blocks before this people to make them stumble. parents and children, neighbors and friends together. It is Yahweh who speaks. See, a people comes from the north, a powerful nation from the ends of the earth. Armed with bow and spear, they are cruel and merciless. Their voice roars like the roaring sea. Mounted on horses in battle formation, they come as a fire against you, daughter of Zion. When we heard this, our hands went limp. Anguish seized us like the birth pangs of a woman. Let us not go to the fields or onto the roads, for the enemy's sword brings terror on every side. O my people, wrap yourself in sackcloth and roll in ashes. Mourn with bitter lament as for an only child, for the destroyer is coming against us. I have appointed you as an examiner among my people, that you may see and appreciate their ways. They are all rebels and slanderers. They are all like bronze and iron, and all are corrupt. The bellows blow to burn away the lead with fire, but the smelter works in vain, for the evil elements remain. They will be called worthless silver, for Yahweh has rejected them. Jeremiah chapter 7. These words were spoken by Yahweh to Jeremiah. Stand at the gate of Yahweh's house and proclaim this in a loud voice. Listen to what Yahweh says. All you people of Judah who enter these gates to worship Yahweh. Yahweh, the God of Israel, says this: Amend your ways and your deeds, and I will stay with you in this place. Rely not on empty words such as, Look, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh. This is the temple of Yahweh. It is far better for you to amend your ways and act justly with all. Do not abuse the stranger, orphan, or widow, or shed innocent blood in this place, or follow false gods to your own ruin. Then I will stay with you in this place, in the land I gave to your ancestors, in times past and forever. But you trust in deceptive and useless words. You steal, kill, take the wife of your neighbor. You swear falsely, worship Baal, and follow foreign gods who are not yours. Then, after doing all these horrible things, you come and stand before me in this temple that bears my name and say, Now we are safe. Is this house on which rests my name a den of thieves? I have seen this myself. It is Yahweh who speaks. Go to the sanctuary at Shiloh in Israel, where I first let my name rest, and see what I did to that place because of the wickedness of my people Israel. You have done all this and have not listened when I repeatedly warned you. Neither have you answered when I called you. What I did in Shiloh, I will likewise do to this temple on which rests my name, this sacred place in which you trust, and which I have given to you and to your ancestors. As for you, I will drive you out of my sight, just as I cast away all your kinsfolk in the north, the entire race of Ephraim. Do not plead for this people. Make no prayer or supplication for them. Do not press me on their behalf, because I will not listen to you. Don't you see what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood and the fathers light fire. The women knead dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings for foreign gods. They do this to belittle me. But is it me they belittle? Asks Yahweh. No, they belittle themselves to their own confusion. Because of this, Yahweh has spoken. The fury of my anger will be poured out on this place, both on man and beast, on the trees and the fields, and on the produce of the earth. It will burn and not be extinguished. This is what Yahweh of hosts says to you. Add your burnt offerings to your sacrifices and eat the flesh. When I brought your forebears out of Egypt, I did not give them mandate regarding sacrifices and burnt offerings. One thing did I command them: listen to my voice, and I will be your God, and you will be my people. Walk in the way I command you, and all will be well with you. But they did not listen and paid no attention. They followed the bad habits of their stubborn heart and turned away from me. From the time I brought their forebears out of Egypt until this day, I have continually sent them my servants, the prophets. But this stiff-necked people did not listen. They paid no attention and were worse than their forebears. You may say all these things to them, but they will not listen. You will call them, but they will not answer. This is a nation that did not obey Yahweh and refused to be disciplined. Truth has perished and is no longer heard from their lips. Cut off your hair and throw it away. Intone a lament on the bare hides, for Yahweh has rejected and forsaken these people. This is Yahweh's word. The people of Judah have done what disgusts me. They have placed their idols in the sanctuary that houses my name and defiled it. They have built the temple of Topheth in the valley of Hinnom, where they burned their sons and daughters, something I never commanded or even thought of. Hence the time will come when it will no longer be called Topheth or the valley of Hinnom, but rather the valley of slaughter. For they will bury the dead in Topheth for lack of space elsewhere, and the corpses of this people will be eaten by birds and animals, and none will scare them away. In the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem, I will bring to an end all expressions of joy and happiness, the songs of the birds and bridegroom, for the land will become a wilderness. Jeremiah chapter 8. When that time comes, it is Yahweh who speaks. They will bring from the tombs the bones of the kings of Judah, the bones of their leaders, priests, prophets, and of the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They will expose them to the sun and moon and all the gods of the skies, because they have loved and served them, and they have followed and worshipped them. These bones will not be gathered up to be replaced in tombs, but will remain like dung on the ground. Death will be preferable to life for the survivors of this perverse race who remain in places to which I have driven them. This is what Yahweh told me. You will say to them, doesn't the one who fails to get up and the one who goes away return? Why then has this people turned away in stubborn rebellion? They make a habit of deceit and refuse to repent. I listened attentively. They did not speak truthfully, nor did they repent of their wickedness. No one says, what have I done? They all follow their own course like horses plunging into battle. Even the stork in the sky knows her times. The dove, the swallow, and the crane know the time to return. But my people do not know the ordinances of Yahweh. How dare you say, we are wise and the law of Yahweh is with us, when the deceiving pen of the scribe has turned it into a lie? The wise will be put to shame. They shall be dismayed and trapped, since they have despised the word of Yahweh. What then is left as the basis of their wisdom? That is why I will give their wives to other men, their fields to conquerors, for all of them, the smallest to the greatest, are greedy for gain. All, from the prophet to the priest, practice deceit. They treat lightly the wound of my people, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. They should be ashamed of their abominable deeds. They have no shame and don't even know how to blush. Surely they shall fall along with those who will fall. For I will ask them to account, and they will stumble. I will make an end of them. It is Yahweh who speaks. For the vine yields no grapes, the fig tree no figs, even the leaves are withered. I will hand them over to the passers-by. Why do we sit still? Get up. We shall go to the fortified cities to perish there. See, Yahweh our God wants us to die and gives us poisoned water because we have sinned against Him. We hoped for peace, and we see nothing good, for a time of healing, but terror came. From Dan we hear the snorting of his horses. At the sound of the neighing of his stallions, the whole earth trembles. They are coming to devour the land and all it contains, the city and all who dwell in it. For I am letting loose against you snakes and adders that cannot be charmed, and they will bite you. Sorrow takes hold of me. My heart fails me. The pleading of the daughter of my people is heard all over the land. Has Yahweh abandoned Zion? Is her king no longer there? Why have they provoked me with their images, with their foreign gods? The harvest is over, the summer is past, and we have not been saved. I am broken-hearted because of my people's misfortune. I am crushed and dismayed. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no healer there? Why is no remedy given to my people? I would that my head were a well of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears to weep day and night for the slain of my people. Jeremiah chapter 9. Who will give me a lodging in the desert, that I may leave my people and go far from them? For they are all adulterers, a band of traitors. They bend their tongue like bows. Deceit and not truth prevail in the land. They commit one crime after another and do not know me. Each one is suspicious of his friend, and no one trusts his brother. Brother deceives brother. Friend slanders friend. They deceive each other. No one speaks the truth. Their tongues are addicted to lying. They are perverse and too hardened to repent. They live amidst deceitfulness, and deceitfulness prevents them from knowing me. That is why, word of Yahweh, God of hosts, I will refine and test them. For what else can I do for my people? Their tongues are like deadly arrows, uttering deceitful words. With their friend they speak of peace, but in their heart they set a trap for him. Isn't reason enough for me to punish them? Shall I not avenge myself on such a nation? On the mountains there will be weeping and wailing, and on the prairies of the wilderness a dirge, because they have been burnt and deserted, and the sound of flock is heard no more. The birds of the sky and the beasts have all fled and are gone. I will make Jerusalem a heap of ruins, a den of jackals. I will make the cities of Judah a wasteland without inhabitants. Who is wise enough to understand these events? And who is the one Yahweh has chosen to reveal them? Why has the land perished and been laid waste like a desert where no one passes? Yahweh answered, It is because they have forsaken the law that I gave them. They have not listened to me, but in the stubbornness of their heart, they have followed the Baals as they were instructed by their ancestors. That is why Yahweh, the God of hosts and the God of Israel says, I will make this people eat bitter food, and I will give them poisoned water. I will scatter them among nations that neither they nor their ancestors knew, and I will send the sword after them until I have finished with them. Listen, call for the wailing women to come, send for the most skillful. Let them hasten to intone a funeral song, and let us weep. Our eyes running with tears. The sound of wailing is heard in Zion. A terrible disaster has befallen us. How great our shame to leave the land, to see our homes broken down. You women, take heed of what Yahweh says. Let your ears pay attention to His words. Teach this lament to your daughters, and each of them to their friends. Death has come through our windows and invaded our palaces, cutting down the children in the street and the young men in the squares. The corpses are scattered in the fields like dung, like sheaves cut by the reaper, with no one to gather them. It is Yahweh who speaks. Let not the wise boast of his wisdom, nor the valiant of his valor, nor the wealthy of his wealth. But if someone wants to boast, let him boast of this, of understanding and knowing me. I am Yahweh the merciful. I implement justice and rule the world with righteousness. For in these things I delight. This is Yahweh's word. The time is coming, Yahweh says, when I will ask to account both those who are circumcised and those who are not. Egypt, Judah, the Ammonites, and the Moabites, with all the Arabs of the desert, for all these nations are not circumcised, and the people of Israel are not circumcised in their heart. Jeremiah chapter 10. Hear the word which Yahweh speaks to you, people of Israel. Do not follow the way of the foreign nations, and do not fear signs in the sky as they do. The awesome God of these nations is but nothing. It is only wood cut from a tree in the forest and shaped by a craftsman's chisel. They adorned it with silver and gold, silver from Tarshish and gold from Ophir, work of a carver and a goldsmith's hand, all the work of artists. They are dressed in violet and purple cloth woven by skilled weavers. It is fastened down with nails to keep it from falling over. Their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field. They cannot speak. They have to be carried because they cannot walk. Have no fear of them. They can do neither harm nor good. No one equals you, Yahweh. You are great. Power is yours, and great is your name. Who would not fear you, King of nations? You are to be feared, for among the wise of the nations and in all their kingdoms, no one equals you. They are all brutish and stupid. Their idols are proof of their foolishness. But Yahweh is the true God, the living God and eternal King. His anger makes the earth quake. The nations cannot endure his fury. You will say this to them: the gods who did not make either the heavens or the earth shall disappear from the earth and from under the heavens. By his power he made the earth, by his wisdom he established the world. By his understanding he extended the heavens. When he raises his voice, the waters pile up in the heavens. He calls the clouds from the ends of the earth. He sends lightning with the rain, and from his storehouse sends out the wind. At this everyone feels stupid and without knowledge. Every goldsmith is ashamed of his idol, which is a fraud without breath. They are worthless, ridiculous objects. They shall perish when the time of retribution comes. He instead has formed the universe and Israel as well, the tribe of his inheritance. For he is the portion of Jacob. Yahweh, God of hosts, is his name. Gather up your belongings and leave the land, you who are the victims of siege. For thus says the Lord, I am hurling far away the inhabitants of this land, and I will let them be pursued and captured. Woe is me, what suffering! My wound is incurable. But I shall say, mine is this illness, I must bear it. My tent is destroyed, all its cords are snapped. My children have left me and are no more. No one is left to pitch my tent or to set my shelter up. For the pastors have become senseless and have not consulted Yahweh. They have not prospered, and all their flocks are scattered. Heed the news, pay attention. A great commotion is heard from the north. They are coming to make the cities of Judah a desolate land, a den of jackals. You know, Yahweh, that man's life is not within his own control, and it is not for him to direct his steps. Correct us, Yahweh, with prudence, not in anger, lest you destroy us completely. Put out your anger on the nations that do not know you, on the people who do not call on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and consumed him thoroughly. His homeland is already laid waste. Jeremiah chapter 11. This is the word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh. Say to the people of Jerusalem, cursed be anyone who does not heed the terms of this covenant, which I ordained for your ancestors the day I freed them from that cleansing furnace that Egypt is. I said to them, if you obey my voice and do all that I command you, you will be my people, and I will be your God. Then I will fulfill the promise I swore to your ancestors, to give you a land flowing with milk and honey, as it is today. I replied, Amen, Yahweh. Yahweh said to me, publish what I say in the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem. Hear the terms of this covenant and keep them. When I brought your forebears out of Egypt, I solemnly warned them and have continued to tell them, obey me. But they did not listen to me or heed what I said. Each one followed his own stubborn heart. So I fulfilled against them all the words of this covenant that I had commanded them, but which they did not follow. Yahweh said to me, there is a conspiracy among the people of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They have returned to the sins of their forebears, who refused to obey me. They have followed and served foreign gods. The nation of Israel and the nation of Judah have broken the covenant I made with their ancestors. That is why Yahweh says to you, I will bring upon them a disaster from which there will be no escape. When they cry to me, I will not listen. Then the cities of Judah and the people of Jerusalem will go crying to the gods they worship, but these will not help them in the time of misfortune. For you, Judah, have as many gods as there are cities. As numerous as the streets in Jerusalem are the altars you have raised to Baal. For your part, do not intercede for these people, nor offer a plea or petition, because I will not listen when they cry to me in the time of their distress. What is my beloved doing in my house? She is plotting evil deeds. Will your vows and the meat of your victims cleanse you from your wickedness and allow you to rejoice? Yahweh had called you, beautiful green olive tree, fair and fruitful. But with the roar of a storm, its foliage took fire and its branches were broken. And Yahweh, God of hosts, who planted you, has condemned you to shame. Indeed, the nation of Israel and the nation of Jacob harmed themselves when they worshipped Baal and aroused my anger. Yahweh made it known to me, and so I know. And you let me see their scheming. Take care, even your kinsfolk and your own family are false with you, and behind your back they freely criticize you. Do not trust them when they approach you in a friendly way. But I was like a gentle lamb led to the slaughter. I did not know it was against me that they were plotting. Let us feed him with trials and remove him from the land of the living, and let his name never be mentioned again. Yahweh, God of hosts, you who judge with justice and know everyone's heart and intentions, let me see your vengeance on them, for to you I have entrusted my cause. This is what Yahweh has to say against the people of Anathoth, who threatened me with death and said, "Do not prophesy anymore in the name of Yahweh, and we will spare your life." Yahweh says to them, "This is how I will punish you. The young men shall die by the sword, their sons and daughters shall die of hunger. No one will survive when I bring disaster on the people of Anathoth in the year of their punishment." Jeremiah chapter 12. Yahweh, you are always right when I complain to you. Nevertheless, where is your justice? Why do the wicked prosper? And why do traitors live in peace? You plant them and they take root. They grow and are fruitful. They honor you with words, but their heart is far from you. But you, Yahweh, you know me and see me. You search my heart. It is close to you. Send them off like sheep to be butchered. Put them aside for the day of slaughter. How long will the land be in mourning, and the grass of the fields remain withered? The birds and the beasts have perished because of the wickedness of the inhabitants. For they say, God does not see what we do. If you tire when running with those on foot, how can you compete with horses? If you do not feel secure in a peaceful land, what will you do in the thickets of the Jordan? I have abandoned my house. I have given up my own people. I have given over those I most cherished into the hands of their enemies. My own have been for me like a lion in the forest. They have roared against me. Now I hate them. My own have become for me like a bird of prey. Let all the birds of prey attack them. Come here, all you wild beasts, and devour them. Many shepherds have ravaged my vine. They have trampled my beloved field and made it a desolate wasteland, parched and mournful in my sight, but no one cares. To every height in the desert, destroyers have come. For Yahweh has a devouring sword. It reaches from one end of the land to the other. No one is safe. They have sown grain and reaped thorns. They have toiled for nothing. Your harvests bring shame on you because of Yahweh's anger. Yahweh declares, "Because all my wicked neighbors have laid hands on the land I gave my people Israel, I will uproot them from their own land, and I will uproot the people of Judah from among them. But after I have done this, I will have compassion on them and bring them back to their possession, each one to his own land. If then they learn the ways I taught my people and call upon my name when taking an oath, they who once taught my people to swear by Baal may settle among my people. But if then any nation does not obey me, I will uproot and destroy it." It is Yahweh who speaks. Jeremiah chapter 13. This is what Yahweh said to me. "Go, buy yourself a linen belt and put it around your waist. Do not put it in water." So I bought the belt as Yahweh ordered and put it around my waist. The word of Yahweh came to me a second time. "Take the belt you bought, the one you put around your waist, and go to the torrent Berah. Hide it there in a hole in the rock." I went and hid it as Yahweh instructed me. After many days, Yahweh said to me, "Go to the torrent Berah and get the belt I ordered you to hide there." I went to the torrent and dug up the belt, but it was ruined and good for nothing. And Yahweh said to me, in this way I will destroy the pride and great glory of Judah. This wicked people who refuse to heed what I say, this stubborn people who go after other gods to serve and worship them. And they shall become like this belt, which is now good for nothing. For just as a belt is to be bound around a man's waist, so was the people of Israel and Judah bound to me. It is Yahweh who speaks, to be my people, my glory and my honor. But they would not listen. You will say to them this word of Yahweh, the God of Israel. Every pitcher should be filled with wine. And they will say, don't we know that a pitcher should be filled with wine? You will reply, you are the pitchers that Yahweh will fill until you are drunk. I am going to fill with drunkenness all who live in this land, kings who succeed David, the priests, the prophets, and all who live in Jerusalem. I will dash them one against another, parents and children together. I will have neither compassion nor mercy. I am going to destroy them. Hear and pay attention. Do not be proud, for Yahweh has spoken. Give glory to Yahweh your God before He brings darkness, and your feet stumble in the darkening hills. You are hoping for light, but He will turn it into darkness of death and deep gloom. If you do not heed this warning, I will weep in secret because of your pride, and I will shed tears when Yahweh's flock has been taken captive. Say to the king and the queen mother, humble yourselves, for the crown of glory has fallen from your head. The cities of the Negeb have been shut, and no one comes to open them. All Judah is deported, completely carried off. Look up, Jerusalem, and see those who come from the north. Where is the flock that was entrusted to you, and where are your beautiful sheep? What will you say when those you let take liberties with you come back to oppress you? Won't your pain be like that of a woman giving birth? And if you ask yourself, why has all this disgrace fallen on me? It is because of your great wickedness that they have torn away your clothes and dealt violently with you. Can an Ethiopian change his skin, or a leopard his spots? And can you do good, you who are accustomed to doing evil? I will scatter you like straw blown by the desert wind. That is your reward. It is Yahweh who speaks. Because you have forgotten me and trusted in falsehood, I myself will pull your shirts over your face, and your shame shall be seen. Your adultery, your lying, your brazen prostitution, all this abomination I have seen on the hills and in the fields. Woe to you, Jerusalem! When at last will you be cleansed? Jeremiah chapter 14. The word of Yahweh concerning drought came to Jeremiah. Judah mourns, the cities languish, desolate, they sink to the ground. From Jerusalem a cry is heard. The rich sent the poor for water, but they found none at the cisterns, and returned with empty vessels. The soil is cracked, because there is no rain in the land. The farmers are dismayed, and have covered their heads like mourners. Even the doe in the fields abandons her newborn calf, because there is no pasture. The wild donkey stands on the heights, sniffing the air like jackals, and languish as they find not even a thistle. Even if our faults accuse us, you, Yahweh, work for the glory of your name. In truth, many have been our rebellions, and great is our sin against you. O Yahweh, hope of Israel, you who save in the time of distress, why are you as a stranger in this land, or like a traveler who stays only a night? Why should you be as if bewildered, like a warrior unable to save? But you are in our midst, Yahweh, and on us your name has been invoked. Do not abandon us. This is what Yahweh says about these people. They like to wander here and there, not stopping for a moment. So Yahweh takes no pleasure in them. He remembers their wickedness and will punish their sins. And Yahweh said, do not pray for the well-being of this people. If they fast, I will not listen to their cry. If they offer me burnt offerings and oblations, I will not accept them. Instead, I am going to make an end of them with sword, famine, and plague. And I said, Lord Yahweh, you know what the prophets are saying to them. You will not see the sword, nor suffer famine, for I will give you true peace in this place. But Yahweh said, these prophets have proclaimed untruths in my name. I did not send them, nor did I command them or speak to them. False visions, worthless divinations, and delusions of their own imagination, that is what they prophesy. And Yahweh added, these prophets whom I did not send, and who prophesy in my name, saying that the sword and famine will not touch this land, these same prophets will perish by the sword and famine. As for the people listening to them, their corpses will be thrown into the streets of Jerusalem. There will be no one to bury them, or their wives, their sons or daughters, when they die of famine and by the sword. For I shall make their own malice fall upon them. This you will say to them, let my eyes shed tears night and day without ceasing. For with a great wound has the virgin daughter of my people been wounded, a most grievous wound. If I go into the country, I see those slain by the sword. If I enter the city, I see the ravages of famine. For the prophet and the priest did not understand what was happening in the land. Have you then rejected Judah forever? Do you abhor Zion? Why have you wounded us and left us with no hope of recovery? We hoped for salvation, but received nothing good. We waited for healing, but terror came. Yahweh, we know our wickedness and that of our ancestors, and the times we have sinned against you. For your name's sake, do not despise us. Do not dishonor the throne of your glory. Remember us, do not break your covenant with us. Among the worthless idols of the nations, are there any who can bring rain or make the skies send showers? Only in you, Yahweh our God, do we hope, for it is you who do all this. Jeremiah chapter 15. Yahweh answered me, even if Moses and Samuel came in person to plead for this people, my heart would have no pity. Send them away from my presence, let them go. And if they say, where shall we go? Tell them, Yahweh says this, those destined for the plague to the plague, for the sword to the sword, for starvation to starvation, those for captivity to captivity. For I shall send them 4 kinds of destroyers, the sword to slay, dogs to ravage, birds of the sky and beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. I shall make them an object of horror for all the kingdoms of the world, because of what Manasseh, son of Hezekiah, king of Judah, did in Jerusalem. Who will take pity on you, Jerusalem? Who will feel sorry for you? Who will turn to ask how you are? It was you who rejected me, word of Yahweh. You turned your back on me. And because of that, I have stretched out my hand to destroy you. I was weary of showing mercy. I winnowed them with a fork in the cities of the land. I left my people without children. I brought them to ruin, but they did not change their ways. Their widows are more numerous than the sand of the seas. On the mothers of youths, I have brought a destroyer who ravages in broad daylight. Suddenly, terror and fear grips them. The mother who had 7 children is confused and discouraged, as if breathing her last. Although it is still day, her sun has set. As for those who remain, I shall let them be slain by the sword in sight of their enemies. It is Yahweh who speaks. Can you break iron that comes from the north, or bronze? I will let your wealth and your treasures be handed over to plunderers, not for a price, but because of all your sins within your frontiers. You shall be slaves of your enemies, among a people you do not know, for the fury of my anger is on fire and will burn you up. Woe is me, mother! Why did you bring me to the light? A man of dissension throughout the land. I owe them nothing, neither do they owe me, yet they all curse me. Tell me, Yahweh, if I have not served you well. Did I not plead with you for my enemies in the time of their shame and disgrace? You know I have, Yahweh. Take care of me, defend me, take vengeance on my persecutors. Remember, for you I have suffered great humiliations. I devoured your words when they came. They were my happiness, and I felt full of joy when you made your name rest on me. Never did I associate with worldly people, amusing myself with scoffers. When your hand was upon me, I stood apart, and you filled me with your anger. Why is there no end to my sorrow, or healing for my wound? Why do you deceive me? And why does my spring suddenly dry up? Then Yahweh spoke to me, if you return, I will take you back, and you will serve me again. Draw the gold from the dross, and you will be as my own mouth. You must draw them to you, and not go over to them. I will make you a fortress and a wall of bronze facing them. If they fight against you, they will not overcome you. I am with you to free you and save you. I will redeem you from the wicked and free you from the hands of tyrants. Jeremiah chapter 16. The word of Yahweh came to me in these terms. Do not take a wife or have sons and daughters in this place. For this is what Yahweh says about sons and daughters born here, and about fathers and mothers who bring them to light in this country. All will die of fatal diseases, and no one will mourn for them or bury them. Their corpses will be like dung on the ground. They will perish by the sword and by starvation, and their corpses will be devoured by birds of prey and wild animals. Yahweh further insisted, "Do not go into a house of mourning, neither weep nor loudly lament with the bereaved, for I have already withdrawn my peace from these people, even my unwavering love and compassion. Both the great and the lowly in this country will perish, and no one will mourn for them or bury them. No one shall gash his skin or shave his head as an act of mourning. No funeral meal shall be shared to comfort the bereaved or console them on the death of their fathers and mothers. Do not go to a house of celebration to feast with them before foods and drinks, for Yahweh Sabaoth, God of Israel, has this to say: In this place and before your very eyes, I will muffle every sound of pleasure and joy, even the song of the newlywed. When you announce all these things to the people, they will ask you, why has Yahweh decided to bring such terrible disasters on us? What wickedness or sin have we committed against Yahweh our God? Then you shall tell them, it is because your ancestors turned away from me and went after other gods to serve and worship them. They have forsaken me and refused to obey my law. But you are worse than your forebears, because each of you has gone his own evil ways, following his stubborn heart in complete defiance of me. Therefore, I will kick you out of this land into a place which is strange to you and your forebears. There you will serve other gods day and night, and you will get no compassion from me. Yahweh says, the days are coming when people will no longer say, Yahweh is a living God, for he brought the Israelites out of Egypt. Rather, they will say, Yahweh is a living God, for he liberated the Israelites out of the northern land and out of all the countries where he had banished them. Yes, I will bring them back to their own country, the land that I bestowed to their forebears. But now Yahweh says, I am sending for many fishermen to catch them. Afterwards, I will send for many hunters to hunt them down on every mountain hill and cave in the rocks. The things that they do are manifest before my eyes, and the sins that they commit are not hidden from me. I will make them pay double for their wickedness and sin. They have contaminated my land with their idols that are as dead as corpses and have filled it with their abominations. Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in times of distress. From the furthest limits of the earth, nations will come to you and say, our ancestors possessed only falsehood, worthless idols bereft of power. Will people make their own gods? Then they are not gods. Hence Yahweh says, I will show and let them know my power and my might, and they will know that Yahweh is my name. Jeremiah chapter 17. The sin of Judah is engraved with a tool of steel, with a point of diamond. It is written on the tablets of their hearts, as on the horns of their altars. Their altars and sacred poles, witness of it beside every green tree, on the high hills and in the open country. I will give away your wealth and your treasures as plunder because of your sin in the high places of your land. Because of your fault, you will lose the land I gave you. I will give you as slaves to your enemies in a land that you have never known before. For you have kindled the fire of my anger, and it will burn forever. This is what Yahweh says. Cursed is the man who trusts in human beings and depends on a mortal for his life, while his heart is drawn away from Yahweh. He is like a bunch of thistles in dry land, in parched desert places, in a salt land where no one lives and who never finds happiness. Blessed is the man who puts his trust in Yahweh and whose confidence is in Him. He is like a tree planted by the water, sending out its roots towards the stream. He has no fear when the heat comes. His leaves are always green. The year of drought is no problem, and he can always bear fruit. Most deceitful is the heart. What is there within man? Who can understand him? I, Yahweh, search the heart and penetrate the mind. I reward each one according to his ways and the fruit of his deeds. Like a partridge hatching eggs he did not lay, is someone who hoards riches that he unjustly gained. At the noontime of his life, his wealth will abandon him. At the twilight of his breath, his folly will be confirmed. What a glorious and exalted throne is our sanctuary! Yahweh, hope of Israel, all who forsake you will be put to shame, and those who turn from you will be cast out from your land. For they have rejected Yahweh, the fountain of living water. Heal me, Yahweh, and I shall be whole. Save me, and I shall be safe. O you, my people. People say to me, where are Yahweh's threats? Let them be carried out now. But I did not urge you to bring devastation, nor a time of tragic death. You well know my desire, and my pleading is in your ears. Do not terrorize my heart. Be my refuge in the day of disaster. Let my persecutors be humbled rather than me. Let them be terrified, but not me. Let the day of misfortune fall on them. Crush them twice over. The word of Yahweh came to me in these terms. Go and stand at the gate they call the people gate, where the kings of Judah enter and leave, and tell the king and all the people of Judah that this is what Yahweh says. For the sake of your lives, be careful not to carry a load on the Sabbath day or bring it through the gates of Jerusalem. Carry no burden out of your adobes and refrain from work on the day of the Sabbath. Uphold its sacredness as I commanded your forefathers. They did not obey me or pay attention to what I said. Stiff-necked as they were, they would not hear or accept my warnings. But if you pay attention, it is Yahweh who speaks, and keep the Sabbath holy, not working or carrying loads through the gates of Jerusalem, then you will be witnesses to the entry of kings of David's descent through these gates, riding in chariots and on horses. You shall see them and their princes along with the people of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And this city shall last forever. People will come from the towns of Judah and from the suburbs of Jerusalem, from the territory of Benjamin, from the lowland and the hill country, and from the Negev, bringing into the temple burnt offerings and sacrifices, grain offerings and incense, as an act of thanksgiving to Yahweh. But if you do not listen and do not keep the Sabbath holy, if you work and carry loads through the gates of Jerusalem, then I will set fire to those gates. It will burn the city and will not be quenched. Jeremiah chapter 18. This is the word of Yahweh that came to Jeremiah. Go down to the potter's house, and there you will hear what I have to say. So I went to the potter's house and found him working at the wheel. But the pot he was working on was spoiled in his hands. So he reworked it all over again into another pot that suits his desire. Meanwhile, Yahweh sent me his word. People of Israel, can I not do with you what this potter does? As clay in the potter's hand, so are you in my hands. At times I warn a nation or a kingdom that I will uproot or destroy it. But if they change their ways, I then relent and refrain from doing the harm I had intended to do. At other times, I declare that a nation or kingdom will be built up and planted. But when they do what displeases me and do not listen to me, so I decide to reverse the good deeds that I intend to do. And Yahweh added, Now tell the people of Judah and to those who live in Jerusalem, Yahweh says to you, Listen, I am planning to destroy you. I am hatching a devastating plot against you. Turn from your evil ways, rectify your conduct and your deeds. But you reply, It is no use, we shall follow our own plans. And each one goes on obeying his stubborn heart. Because of this, Yahweh has to say, Ask among the nations, has anyone heard the like of this? The virgin Israel has done a most abominable thing. Does the snow of Lebanon ever leave the rocky heights of the field? Do the fresh waters of great rivers ever dry up? Yet my people have forgotten me, offering incense to empty idols that made them stumble on their way as they left the ancient paths. Now they have taken the wrong way, the crooked way that leads nowhere. Their land will be left desolate and an object of lasting derision. All who pass by will be astonished and shake their heads. Like the wind that blows from the east, I will scatter them before their enemies. I will turn my back to them, not my face, in the day of their disaster. Then they said, Come, let us plot against Jeremiah, for even without him there will be priests to interpret the teachings of the law. There will always be wise men to impart counsel and prophets to proclaim the word. Come, let us accuse him and strike him down instead of listening to what he says. Hear me, O Yahweh. Listen to what my accusers say. Is evil the reward for good? Why do they dig a grave for me? Remember how I stood before you to speak well on their behalf, so that your anger might subside. Now let their children starve, hand them over to the sword. Let their wives become childless and widows. Let their men be victims of plague, and their young men be slain in battle. Let cries be heard in their houses when you suddenly bring bandits against them. For they have dug a pit to trap me, and hidden snares to catch my feet. O Yahweh, you know all of their plots to take my life. Forgive not their crime, forget not their sin. Crush them on the day of your anger. Jeremiah chapter 19. This was an order of Yahweh to Jeremiah. Go and buy a jar from the potter. Take with you some elders of the people and a few senior priests, and go out to the valley of Ben Hinnom at the entrance to the potsherd gate. Proclaim there what I tell you. Say this, hear the word of Yahweh, kings of Judah and citizens of Jerusalem. Yahweh, the God of hosts and the God of Israel, is the one who speaks. I am about to send a disaster upon this place that will make the ears of those who hear it tingle. Here they have forsaken me, offering incense to foreign gods that neither they, their ancestors, nor the kings of Judah have known. They have profaned this place by filling it with the blood of the innocent. They have put up high places for Baal to burn their children in fire as a sacrifice. This is something that I have never commanded them to do, much less conceived in my mind. Hence I, Yahweh, tell you now that the days will surely come when this place will no longer be called Tophet or the valley of Ben Hinnom, but the valley of massacre. In this place I will frustrate the plans of Judah and Jerusalem and let them be slain by their enemies, the very people who have doggedly sought their lives. Then I will commit their corpses to the birds and the beasts as food. I will transform this city into a terrible wasteland, an object of scorn and a panorama of horror that will shock passers-by and make them kiss upon witnessing that terrible catastrophe. The city will be surrounded by the enemies who have vowed to massacre the people. No one will be able to flee from this tight siege, and the people in the city will be forced to eat the flesh of one another, even that of their very own children. Then you shall break the jar before the people who have accompanied you, and you will tell them that I, Yahweh, the God of hosts, will smash the people of this city like the shattered jar of the potter, which is beyond repair. People will bury the dead even in Tophet, for there is no more space in the land to bury them. This is precisely what I will do to Jerusalem and its citizens, making this city like Tophet. The houses of Jerusalem and the palaces of the kings of Judah will be defiled like Tophet, because the roofs of these houses have been used to burn incense for the stars of the skies and to pour wine offerings for strange gods. Then Jeremiah left Tophet, where Yahweh had sent him to prophesy, and stood in the porch of the house of Yahweh. There he told all the people, "Listen to the word of Yahweh, God of Israel. I am about to bring on this city and the towns surrounding the disaster that I have already foretold, because they are a stiff-necked people and will not listen to me." Jeremiah chapter 20. When the priest Pashur, son of Immer, who was the chief officer in the house of Yahweh, heard Jeremiah prophesying like this, he ordered his people to beat Jeremiah and put him in chains at the gate of Benjamin, the upper gate at the house of Yahweh. The next day, after Pashur ordered the release of Jeremiah, the latter told the former, "Yahweh has already changed your name. It is not Pashur anymore, but terror on every side. For Yahweh says, I am going to hand you over to terror, you and your friends. They will fall under the sword of their enemies while you look on. I will deliver the people of Judah into the hands of the king of Babylon, who will deport them to Babylon or slay them by the sword. I will likewise allow the enemies plunder all the wealth of this city. All the possessions and treasures of the kings of Judah will be seized and carried off to Babylonia. As for you, Pashur, you and your entire family will be taken as captives to Babylon, where you will die and be buried, you and all your friends whom you deceived with lies. Yahweh, you have seduced me, and I let myself be seduced. You have taken me by force and prevailed. I have become a laughing stock all day long. They all make fun of me. For every time I speak, I have to shout violence, devastation. Yahweh's word has brought me insult and derision all day long. So I decided to forget about him and speak no more in his name. But his word in my heart becomes like a fire, burning deep within my bones. I try so hard to hold it in, but I cannot do it. I hear many people whispering, "Terror is all around. Denounce him, yes, denounce him." All my friends watch me to see if I will slip. Perhaps he can be deceived, they say. Then we can get the better of him and have our revenge. But Yahweh, a mighty warrior, is with me. My persecutors will stumble and not prevail. That failure will be their shame, and their disgrace will never be forgotten. Yahweh, God of hosts, you test the just and probe the heart and mind. Let me see your revenge on them, for to you I have entrusted my cause. Sing to Yahweh, praise Yahweh and say, He has rescued the poor from the clutches of the wicked. Cursed be the day I was born. Bless not the day my mother brought me to light. Cursed be the man who broke the news to my father, "It's a boy," and it made him joyful. Let him be like the towns that Yahweh destroyed without mercy. Let him hear a warning shout in the morning and a battle cry at noon. For he did not kill me in the womb, that my mother would have been my grave, and have carried me forever. Why did I ever leave the womb to live in trouble and sorrow and spend my days in shame? Jeremiah chapter 21. These words of Yahweh came to Jeremiah when King Zedekiah sent Pashur, son of Malchiah, and the priest Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, to say to him, "Consult Yahweh on our behalf, for Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has started a war with us. Perhaps Yahweh will work a few of his miracles and make the enemy withdraw." Jeremiah replied, "This is what Yahweh, the God of Israel, says to Zedekiah, I am about to bring back to you the weapons with which you are fighting outside the wall, the king of Babylon and the Chaldeans who are besieging you. And I will pile up these weapons in the center of the city. Then I myself will fight against you with outstretched hand and mighty arm, with anger and fury and great wrath. I will strike all in the city, both humans and animals, and they will perish in a terrible plague. After this, it is Yahweh who speaks. I will hand over Zedekiah, king of Judah, his servants and the citizens who survived the plague, the sword and famine over to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. I will hand them over to their enemies, to those who have been hounding their blood. they shall be slain without mercy or compassion. Then Yahweh instructed me to say this to the people: Take heed, I Yahweh am presenting you a choice between the way that leads to life and the way that leads to death. Those who remain in the confines of the city will meet their deaths by the sword, famine, or plague. Those who go out and surrender to the Chaldeans besieging the city will live and will be the only ones to be saved. For I am turning to this city for its ruin, not for its good. Word of Yahweh, it will be given over to the king of Babylon, who will destroy it by fire. You will give this message to the king's officials. To the royal family of Judah say this: Officials of David's palace, hear the word of Yahweh. Give judgment each morning and deliver the oppressed from the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury break loose like a fire with no one to quench it. This is Yahweh's word. See, I am coming to you, who live in the hills overlooking the valley, you who say, Who will come against us and enter this secure place? I will punish you according to your deeds, and in your forests I will kindle a fire that will devour all that surrounds it. Jeremiah chapter 22. Yahweh said to me, Go to the palace of the king of Judah and give him this message. Hear the word of Yahweh, O king of Judah, who sit on the throne of David. To you, your servants, and all who enter by these gates, Yahweh says, Practice justice and do good. Free the oppressed from their oppressor. Harm not the foreigners, the orphans, and the widows. Do them no violence, and let no innocent blood be spilled in this place. If you do this, kings succeeding King David will enter these gates riding on their chariots and horses, together with their servants and their people. But if you do not heed my word, it is Yahweh who speaks. I swear by myself that this place will become a ruin. For this is what Yahweh says of the royal house of Judah. For me, you are like Gilead, like a peak of Lebanon, and yet I will transform you into a desert, a city where no one lives. I will prepare destroyers to attack you, each with an axe in his hand. They will cut down your choice cedars and throw them into the fire. Pagans without number will pass by this city and say to one another, Why has Yahweh dealt with this great city in such a way? And they will answer, Because they broke their covenant with Yahweh their God, and worshipped and served other gods. Weep not for the one who is dead, grieve not for him. Mourn rather for him who is in exile, for he will never return to see his homeland again. For this is what Yahweh has said of King Josiah's son, Shallum, who succeeded his father as king of Judah. He will never return, for he will die in the place to which he has been deported, and will never see this land again. Damned is the one who builds his house with stolen goods and extends it upwards by means of injustice. He who makes his fellow man work for nothing and refuses to give him his wages. So you build for yourself a fine palace with spacious upper rooms. So you have large windows put in. You have it panelled with cedar wood and painted vermilion. Does amassing cedar make you more of a king? Was not your father a just man? He ate and drank to his life's content, but he acted justly, and all went well for him. He defended the cause of the poor and needy. This is the meaning of knowing Yahweh. But your eyes and heart are set on selfish gain, on the shedding of innocent blood and oppressive violence. Therefore, this is what Yahweh says concerning Jehoiakim, son of Josiah, king of Judah. No one shall lament for him, saying, Alas, my brother! Alas, O sister! No one shall lament for him, saying, Alas, my Lord! Alas, your majesty! He will be given the burial of a donkey, dragged away and thrown out beyond the gates of Jerusalem. Go up to Lebanon and cry out. Weep from the heights of Bashan, cry out from Abarim, for all your lovers have been. I spoke to you in more fortunate days, but you said, I will not listen. You have been like that since your youth, paying no attention to my word. All your shepherds will be scattered by the wind, and your lovers will be taken captive. Then you will be covered with shame because of your evil deeds. You who call your house Lebanon and made your nest of cedar wood, how you will groan when sorrow comes like the birth pangs of a woman in labor. By my life, says Yahweh, even if Jeconiah, Jehoiakim's son, king of Judah, were the signet ring on my right hand, I would pull him off. I will hand you to those who seek your life, to the Chaldeans you fear. Then I will hurl you and the mother who bore you into a foreign land where you were not born. There you shall die, for to the land for which you long you will never return. Is this Jeconiah a broken and useless crock that no one wants? Why has he been expelled, he and his family, to a land they do not know? Land, land, land. Hear what Yahweh says. These are his words. List this man as childless. None of his race will succeed. Not one will be fortunate to sit on David's throne and rule again over Judah. Jeremiah chapter 23. Woe to the shepherds who mislead and scatter the sheep of my pasture. This is the message of Yahweh, God of Israel, to the shepherds in charge of my people. You have scattered my sheep and driven them away instead of caring for them. Now I will deal with you because of your evil deeds. I will gather the remnant of my sheep from every land to which I have driven them, and I will bring them back to the grasslands. They will be fruitful and increase in number. I will appoint shepherds who will take care of them. No longer will they fear or be terrified. No one will be lost. Yahweh further says, The day is coming when I will raise up a king who is David's righteous successor. He will rule wisely and govern with justice and righteousness. That will be a grandiose era when Judah will enjoy peace and Israel will live in safety. He will be called Yahweh our justice. The days are coming, says Yahweh, when people shall no longer swear by Yahweh as the living God who freed the people of Israel from the land of Egypt. Rather, they will swear by Yahweh as the living God who restored the descendants of Israel from the northern empire and from all the lands where he had driven them to live again in their own land. About the prophets, my heart breaks within me, and all my bones tremble. I am like a drunken man, like a man overcome by wine, because of Yahweh and his holy words. The land is full of adulterers. Because of this, I put a curse on the country. It is in mourning, and the desert grasslands have withered. They follow an evil path and readily act unjustly. Even the prophet and the priest are corrupt. I have found out about their wickedness in my house. Word of Yahweh. That is why their path will become slippery in the dark, making them stumble and fall when I bring evil upon them in the year of their punishment. I well know how stupid the prophets of Samaria were. They prophesied in the name of Baal and led my people Israel astray. But among the prophets of Jerusalem, I have likewise seen horrors, for they are adulterers and liars. They encourage the evildoers, so that none of them turns away from wickedness. For me, all of them are like Sodom, and the common people like Gomorrah. That is why Yahweh, the God of hosts, speaks against the prophets. I will give them bitter food to eat and poisoned water to drink. For from the prophets of Jerusalem, evil has spread all over the land. Thus Yahweh warns, do not listen to what the prophets say. They give you false hope and tell you their own illusions, and not what comes from the mouth of Yahweh. They dare say to those who despise me, Yahweh has spoken, be at peace. And to those who follow their own stubborn hearts, they say, no misfortune will come upon you. Who then has been present in the counsel of Yahweh? Who has heard and understood his word? Who has paid attention to his word and is able to pass it on? The storm of Yahweh's wrath breaks forth, and a whirling hurricane bursts upon the head of the wicked. Yahweh's wraths will not relent before the full accomplishment of his plans. The time will come when you will understand what it is. I did not send these prophets, yet they went running. I did not speak, yet they prophesied. Were they present in my counsel? Then let them proclaim my word to my people, and have them turn away from their evil ways and their wicked deeds. Am I a God only when I am near? It is Yahweh who speaks, and not when I am far off. If someone hides in secret places, do I not see him? Do I not fill the heavens and the earth? I have listened and heard the lies that the prophets have proclaimed in my name. All said, I had a dream, I had a dream. How long will there be prophets of lies who proclaim their own illusions? They would like to make the people forget my name by the dreams they relate to one another, just as their ancestors forgot my name when they followed Baal. The prophet who has a dream prophesies a dream, whereas the one who receives my word proclaims the word of truth. What have straw and wheat in common? Isn't my word like fire, like hammer that shatters a rock. That is why I oppose the prophets who steal from one another words that are supposedly mine. I am against the prophets who have only to move their tongues to utter oracles. I am against those whose prophecies are based on lying dreams, who lead my people astray with their trickery and pretensions. I did not commission or charge them to transmit my orders, so they are of no benefit to my people. Word of Yahweh. And when these people, or a prophet or a priest, jestingly asks you, "What is the burden of Yahweh?" you will answer, "You are the burden, and I am going to get rid of you." This is Yahweh's word. And the prophets, priests, or common people who say, "Burden of Yahweh will be punished," and their household as well. This is what you should say to one another among yourselves. What is Yahweh's answer? Or what has Yahweh said? But there must be no mention of burden of Yahweh, for it shall be burdensome for the one who says it. And if you want to know, this is what Yahweh says. Since you use this expression in spite of my prohibition, I will cast you off and thrust you out of my sight, you and the city I gave to you and your ancestors. I will bring upon you everlasting shame and dishonor that will be yours forever. Jeremiah chapter 24. Yahweh showed me 2 baskets of figs placed in front of the temple. It was after Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had deported Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, together with the princes of Judah, the blacksmiths and metal workers, and had taken them to Babylon. One of the baskets had choice figs that ripen early. The other had bad ones, so bad that they couldn't be eaten. Yahweh said to me, "What do you see, Jeremiah?" I replied, "Figs. The good figs are excellent, but the bad figs are so rotten they cannot be eaten." So the word of Yahweh came to me, "Just as these figs are good, so do I consider good those who have been deported from Judah to the land of the Chaldeans. I will look kindly on them and bring them back to this land. I will restore and not destroy them. I will plant and not uproot them. I will dispose their heart to know me as Yahweh. They will be my people, and I will be their God, for they will come back to me with all their heart. But as far as King Zedekiah of Judah is concerned, I will deal with him as one deals with rotten figs, so rotten they cannot be eaten. I will likewise deal with his princes and the remnants of Jerusalem, those who have stayed in the country and those who have migrated to Egypt. I will make them a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, a reproach and a byword, an object of ridicule, a curse in all the countries to which I will drive them. I will also bring sword, famine, and plague upon them until they are utterly erased from the land I gave them and to their ancestors. Jeremiah chapter 25. This is the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim son of Josiah, which was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon. And this word was transmitted by the prophet Jeremiah to all the people of Judah and to all the citizens of Jerusalem. For 23 years, that is, from the 13th year of Josiah, son of Ammon, until today, the word of Yahweh has come to me, and I have continuously spoken to you, but you would not listen. Besides, Yahweh has sent his servants, the prophets, to you again and again, but you neither listened nor paid attention. They said, "Turn from your evil ways and repent of your wicked deeds, that you may live in the land that Yahweh gave to you and your ancestors forever and ever. Do not turn after other gods to serve and worship them. Do not provoke my anger with these things your own hands have made, and I will do you no harm." But you refuse to listen. It is Yahweh who speaks, and provoked my anger with these gods you yourselves have made to your own detriment. That is why Yahweh, God of hosts, says to you, "Since you have not listened to what I said, I will summon all the clans of the north." It is Yahweh who speaks, "And my steward Nebuchadnezzar will bring them against this land and its inhabitants, and against all the surrounding nations. I will completely destroy these people, making them desolate, an object of ridicule, an everlasting ruins. I will banish from them every sound of joy and happiness, the song of the bride and bridegroom, the noise of the mill and the light of the lamp. All the land will be a ruin and a desolation, and for 70 years these nations will serve the king of Babylon. But after 70 years I will punish the king of Babylon and his nation for their guilt. It is Yahweh who speaks, and I will make it forever desolate. On this land I will now bring all that I foretold, all that is written in this book. They will be subject to great nations and kings. I will repay them according to their deeds and the work of their hands. Yahweh, the God of Israel, instructed me, "Take from my hand this cup of wine, and let all the nations to whom I send you drink from it. They will drink and stagger and lose control of their minds before the sword I am sending among them." So I took the cup from Yahweh's hand and made all the nations to whom he sent me drink from it, to bring them in ruins, a desolation which is an object of ridicule and curses as they are today. Then I gave it to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to his ministers, his princes, and all his people, to all the countries of the west, to all the kings of Uz, to all the kings of the Philistines in Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and those left at Ashdod, to all the people of Edom, Moab, and Ammon, all the kings of Tyre and Sidon, the kings of the coastlands across the sea, Dedah, Tama, Bus, and all the kings of Arabia, and the kings of the west, and the kings of those who live in the desert, all the kings of Simri, Elim, and Media, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one after the other, all the kings that are found on the face of the earth. And after them the king of Babylon shall drink it. You will say to them, "This is the message of Yahweh, the God of hosts and the God of Israel. Drink, get drunk, vomit, fall without raising again in front of the sword I am sending against you." But if they refuse to take the cup from your hand to drink, tell them, "Yahweh, the God of hosts has spoken. You also must drink. When you see that I am punishing first the city where my name rests, do you think you will be spared? No, you will not, for I am personally bringing down a sword on all the inhabitants of the earth. It is Yahweh, God of hosts, who speaks. You will communicate all these words to them and say, Yahweh roars on high, and from his holy dwelling threatens all the inhabitants of the world. His mighty roar echoes to the farthest ends of the earth. For Yahweh judges all the nations and passes sentence against all humankind, and he abandons the wicked to the sword. Word of Yahweh. Yahweh, God of hosts, says, See, disaster spreads from nation to nation. A storm arises from the ends of the earth. On that day, Yahweh's victims will be spread from one end of the earth to the other. No one will mourn for them. No one will gather them up or bury them. They will be like dung on the soil. Howl, shepherds, and lament. Roll in the dust, you leaders of flocks, for the day of slaughter and dispersal has come for you, and you will fall like fattened rams. The shepherds will find no refuge, and the leaders of the flocks will not be able to escape. The shepherds cry out, and the leaders of flocks wail, for Yahweh lays waste the grasslands, and the pastures are silent because of the fury of Yahweh's anger. Like a lion, he leaves his lair. Because of fierce wrath, the land has been stricken by the sword and has become a wasteland.